Jax Weaver's first memory was his mother sliding old coins beneath the floorboards the night the gravity bill came overdue. He must have been 5, perched on squeaky planks while the apartment lights flickered between amber and red. Outside, sirens sang their nightly lullaby, reminders that failure to pay meant a drift event, the polite term for people who woke weightless, spiraled upward, and were never seen again. 2 decades later, Jack sat hunched inside a server vault 6 levels below street dust, black curls brushing exhaust fans as he traced a line of code on cracked hollow glasses. The line pulsed a dull violet. If, balance 0, ground field off, kill switch. Found you, he whispered. Above him, half a kilometer of rebar and broken billboards separated Slab City, sprawled across Earth's battered crust, from Cloud 9, the constellation of floating metropolises where the elites lived beneath shimmering domes, sipping microgravity lattes. Cloud 9's engineers had patented the ground field, an invisible lattice of gravitons that kept everything under 75 meters pressed to the planet's surface. But it came with a monthly fee, auto-debited through the central app, stay-down trademark, 1 late payment, 1 glitch, and the field winked off for that user alone. They drifted like confetti into the toxic haze. Drones retrieved any valuables, never the body. Jax pushed up his visor and rubbed weary eyes. He had posed as an overnight maintenance tech, but in truth he was the ghost operator of Blackfeather, the most notorious hacktivist feed on the undernet. For years he had exposed data leaks, doctored tariffs, and bribe logs. Tonight's discovery, though, was bigger than corruption. It was murder sold as a service. A static click hummed in his earbud. Progress? Asked a calm, measured voice. Ava Lark. She was one of the few engineers still in Cloud 9 who pretended not to know him. I found the kill switch, Ava. It's live in every billing cycle. Silence, then a slow inhale. You're certain? He highlighted a batch line snagged from the enterprise controller. List all delinquents equals query unpaid 24 hours. For each user, ground field off user ID, log float out user ID. Certain enough to burn everything down. Jax replied, We need proof for the masses. Not masses, she corrected. Cloud 9's board. They're the only ones who can authorize a recall. Jax snorted. The board wrote this code. No answer. He pictured her in some pristine sky suite, silver tablet glowing against a window full of sunset, haloed by anti-dust filters, a universe away from his rusted catacombs. Yet he'd heard fatigue in her voice lately, maybe even guilt. He zipped the code into an encrypted shard. I'll broadcast in an hour. Wait, Ava said sharply. There's more. The board installed a fail-safe pulse. If anyone uploads raw kernel files, they'll trigger a region-wide ground field outage. Millions could drift. Jax froze. His pulse fluttered. Why the hell would they design that? Deterrence. Make leaking the code worse than the code itself. She sounded small, far away. Promise me you'll think before pushing send. Jax disconnected without answering. He surfaced onto street level where the air tasted of steel wool and barbecue dust. It was 3:17, the hour drifters called the tether's edge. Too late for traffic, too early for sunrise. Hollow posters glowed on broken walls. Stay down, TM. Your personal gravity, just a click away. Jax's boots scraped gravel as he crossed a pedestrian bridge spanning a dark canal. He glanced up at Cloud 9's halo lights and remembered the last time he saw someone float. Ms. Dalka, the math teacher who'd tutored him free. Late subscription by 20 seconds. Her scream still haunted humid nights. A ripple of fear chilled him. One mistake tonight and an entire megazone would float like dandelions. Yet if he did nothing, the murders continued piecemeal in silence. He quickened his pace toward Signal Spire, the last analog transmitter tall enough to pierce Cloud 9's jamming nets. Firelight suddenly flared under the bridge. A trio of enforcers in charcoal armor stepped from shadows, gravity cuffs gleaming. Their leader's badge glowed. Cloud Guard, Deputy Marrow. Mr. Weaver, Marrow drawled, voice amplified. We monitor unusual server access. Step forward. No sudden vertical movements. His joke drew smirks. Jax raised empty hands. Just out for air. Marrow twirled an electro baton. You breached a level 8 vault. That's cloud property. Jax's wrist pad pinged, flagged. There was no bluffing. He bolted. The guards fired stick nets. Jax dove, nets sizzling overhead, and sprinted through shanty alleys, mind racing. Above, cloud guard drones angled searchlights. He ducked into a derelict observatory, the old planetarium, industry's forgotten relic. Doors slammed behind him. Dust motes swirled. No exits. Laser sights sliced the dark. Jax yanked a busted telescopic mount, swinging it like a battering ram. Lights burst, showering sparks. He vaulted onto the console stage, heart thunderous, and jammed a cable into his wrist pad. The projector's ancient dish still pointed skyward through an opening dome. He keyed a distress handshake on Ava's private frequency. Trace me. Now Marrow's footsteps echoed. Cornered, the deputy said, voice lazy. We could cuff you and wait for your subscription to lapse. You arrest me. The undernet floods the code anyway, Jax called back, stalling. But that triggers the failsafe pulse, Marrow retorted. We'll just blame you for the skyfall. Heroic last act. Jax's skin iced, so the board planned to scapegoat him all along. A beep vibrated on his wrist. Uplink engaged. Cloud9 relay. A voice crackled overhead, broadcast via the planetarium speakers. Ava, step away from him. Marrow laughed. Engineer Lark, is that you? Does Cloud9 send velvet threats now? Something rumbled outside, deeper than thunder. The planetarium roof irised wider. A silver-white aerodyne descended, Ava's private grav skimmer, thruster haze scorching weeds to ash. Its field projector hummed. The guards stumbled as local gravity halved, bodies bobbing. Jax steadied himself on a console. Ava emerged from the cockpit in sleek travel suit, dark hair whipping wind. She gazed at Marrow, eyes fierce. Release him. Board orders. Marrow hesitated. Verification? She tossed a holo-seal that flickered. Directorate priority. The guards exchanged looks, uncertain. Marrow finally waved them down. Jax blinked at her. You flew here? Cloud law forbids crossing the haze ring without approval. I forged mine, she murmured. Get in. He didn't argue. They boarded, doors sealed. The skimmer rocketed upward, cutting through brown smog until dawn-shaded clouds parted to reveal the underside of Cloud9, a lattice of crystalline platforms glowing like sunrise caught in ice. Ava set autopilot for her penthouse pad and faced him in the cramped cabin. I intercepted your distress. You can't publish the code, she said. The pulse will drop everyone, sky and slab alike. The board wired the entire grid. Then we hack the pulse first. It's hardware, Jax, deep inside the central hub. Armed guards, vacuum drops. You'd need an access kernel and a fall-proof exit. He met her gaze. You know where those are. She bit her lip. Guilt flickered. I helped design them. They touched down on a balcony of polished glass high above any storm. Ava's living space overflowed with contraband, vinyl records, paper books, gravity sculpture experiments. Jax stared at a giant brass gyroscope spinning midair with no support. I'm searching for cheaper ways to keep things grounded, she explained softly. He exhaled. So you've been fighting from up here. Maybe hiding, she admitted. A bell chimed. Translucent shutters darkened. Surveillance protocol. Ava keyed a silence field. We have extremely little time. Board's already meeting. Jax produced the encrypted shard. This is proof. But if I leak it, thousands float. If we do nothing, thousands float slowly. Either way, he trailed off, throat tight. Ava touched his arm. What if we reverse the billing polarity? Make the ground field free by default. Surcharge only those above Cloud9 altitude. Tax the elites for existing? Jax mused. Just long enough to trigger their panic. They'll rush to fix it from the hub, overriding the pulse themselves. And while they scramble, we upload full proof, force a public referendum. He grinned despite the stakes. Your plan might actually fly. Wrong verb. She winked. It lands. They hurried to her console wall. Ava generated a root credential token under Director Claremont's ID, her former mentor, now chief architect. Jax injected a cloned cert for payment gateway redirect. They coded side by side, fingers almost brushing, two minds weaving sabotage into salvation. She manipulated gravitational vector tables. He scripted stealth loops to mask field churn for 40 minutes, the window before alarms. At last, she hit execute. Distant thunks reverberated as satellites recalibrated charge. An icon blinked. Force shift complete. Billing inverted. I'll broadcast a public countdown, Jax said. People need to tether indoors for the flip. Do it. Ava's voice trembled. But first, you'll need to escape the hub after we plant the evidence. I can shield your descent if you trust me. I always did. She flushed, but there was no time for more. They commandeered a maintenance capsule disguised as a linen shuttle and dove toward the pearly spire called Centerpoint. Its tapered pinnacle housed the pulse hardware and main ledger. Anti-intrusion drones patrolled concentric rings. Ava killed the capsule's transponder, slipping between patrol arcs like a thread through teeth. Inside, they glided through stark corridors. Jax's pulse drummed. At the core vault, biometric turrets tracked them. Ava leaned forward. Scanners chirped. Access granted. Lark. A. The door dilated, revealing the pulse, an obsidian monolith pulsing crimson voltage. She accessed the console. Upload your proof files to Ledger Mirror. On my mark, I'll spike the pulse's diagnostic loop. Should buy us 20 minutes. Jax slotted the shard. Lines of atrocities poured onto redundant nodes. Kill switch commits, drift logs, hush payments, Dalka's file among them. He embedded a scheduled release to every public channel plus a chain-verified blockchain so no one could erase it. Ava typed a quick string. Diagnostic loop engaged. Crimson turned amber. She looked at him. Now we leave. Sirens howled. 2 board security units rounded the arch. Too late, Jax muttered. Ava slammed an emergency lever. Floor vents expelled zero-G foam, flinging guards upward. She grabbed Jax's wrist and sprinted down a service shaft where a narrow vertical drop yawned 80 meters. No elevator? He yelled. Trust. She activated a portable grav ring. It formed a shimmering disk around them. They leaped. Wind screamed. Halfway down, she inverted polarity. Ring repelled Earth gently, slowing them for a feather-light landing in maintenance pipes. Jax laughed, wild with adrenaline. They burst onto an open deck overlooking Cloud9's underside, just as panic erupted across sky districts. Shops rattled, coffee floated, patricians shrieked. Subscription invoices rolled in. Gravity surcharge, 500,000 K per hour. Drone traffic jammed as elites scrambled to secure footing. Within minutes, board members issued emergency recall orders, exactly as planned. Network logs showed them disabling the pulse safeguards to restore normal billing. Ava whispered, "That's our trigger." Jax executed final command. Publicdump.all. The truth flooded sky ads, street projectors, wrist pads, everywhere gravity still tugged. Slab City crowds gasped at drifting headlines. Elites turn off gravity for poor. Shock became fury. Protests rose, but so did something better. Solidarity. People tethered ropes and rebar nets to keep strangers safe. Tech guilds mirrored Ava's cheap gravity prototypes. Within hours, a coalition of ground engineers replicated her gyroscope arrays at scale. Cloud9's board attempted damage control, but thousands of subscribers canceled en masse from fear of lethal clauses. Investors fled. Lawsuits breached like levees. A week later, the World Assembly passed the Universal Gravitation Act, nationalizing the ground field grid and banning paper gravity models. A reparations fund launched for drift victims' families. Jax stood on a cliff outside Slab City, horizon smudged gold by sunrise. For the first time in his life, he breathed without counting coin. He wasn't floating. He wasn't afraid. Beside him, Ava adjusted a prototype portable grav ring, destined soon for rescue missions in disaster zones. She caught him staring. "Penny for your thoughts?" "Wondering if the sky feels lighter or if I do." She smiled. "Gravity's strange. We fear losing it, but it's also what holds us together." He slipped a rope of braided copper from his bag, handed one end to her. "Then maybe we keep each other grounded." Ava looped the rope around her wrist, half promise, half joke, but she stepped closer, eyes reflecting dawn. "Best subscription I've ever had." They stood silent while the sun climbed, the clouds above now bustling with construction crews installing open-source grav fields the world would share for free. High winds licked Ava's hair across Jax's face. He laughed, brushed it aside, and realized that after a lifetime of looking up in fear, he could finally lift his eyes to the sky and see only possibility. In the months that followed, Stay Down went offline, replaced by Stay Human, an open cooperative. Cloud9's towers welcomed ground visitors, gravity rings spun freely in public playgrounds, and children learned in history lessons about the night gravity was sold and the day people refused to buy it anymore. As for Jax and Ava, they traveled between sky and soil, auditing infrastructure, teaching others how to keep gravity a birthright. The rope they shared frayed over time, but neither dreamed of untying it. After all, they had learned the secret at last. The surest way to stay grounded was to hold on to someone willing to share the weight.